Thanks for staying with us to join this conversation that the whole of Nigeria is having concerning Mr. Bosun Tijani. In fact, expectations are high. He must perform, which other ministry is giving. However, we have with us an author, writer, member of the board of Halifax International Security Forum, Mr. Japhet Omojua. He'll be giving us his perspective on this ministerial list, the screening, most importantly, the controversial and eye-catching One Piece of Dr. Bosun Tijani. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Moraya.
So before we start getting your views on the general ministerial list and the plans for this administration, let's start with Dr. Bosun Tijani's screening on Saturday. It's been trending. Everybody's talking about it today. And what are your own thoughts about what he was saying, how he was screened, and the apology?
It's an easy one for me to have because I wrote about it.
Oh,
I wrote about it yesterday morning. Between me thinking to write about it and writing about it and posting it on the internet, everything took about 20 minutes.
Oh.
Because I also slept on the issue. It was also on the back of somebody reaching out to me to intervene on behalf of Bosun. But by the time I wrote about it, I was not intervening on behalf of Bosun. It was on behalf of young people, on behalf of a community of people that believe in technology and its capacity to disrupt governance, to disrupt our society, to create opportunities. And that's the reason why I was glad that, especially the Senate President and the Senate generally, were able to be magnanimous, to not overlook what he said because they had him apologize, but to see it in context. I remember Senator Tope, for instance, his intervention was strong. He also referenced his own children and the positions he took on these same issues in the past. I also remember Senator Yayi. They took very interesting positions. Yeah. Generally speaking, my own biggest issue was his reference on ASO ROCK and the fact that if you're going to take that position, you're going to have to apologize for that particular reference, because then, can you imagine the scenario where you're going into that, his description of that thing everywhere is there. Like, it's quite graphic, right? So you can't both things couldn't happen.
Right.
So I was glad that he did apologize. And I think that as a country, as a people, we must be fair to one another. I think Nigerians, we've expressed a lot of anger about our country. I think where I draw the line is where you start to say things about our institutions. I don't mind. You can even insult your leaders. If you don't want to be insulted, don't join politics. Don't run for office. One of the biggest things that the president has said since his inauguration was that I begged for this job.
Yeah.
I begged to be your president. I begged to be elected. So, and when you beg for a job, you must be ready for everything that comes with it.
Right.
So Bosun wasn't right to say some things. It was right to be angry about certain things that happened on account of him being Nigerian. But by and large, I think the Senate did the right thing.
Yeah. So, you know, you're a huge Twitter...
X.
What? No. whether X or not is there when it comes to that space, you know. Yeah. You have expressed quite strongly exactly on that platform. And some people may think it was like a sellout for him to have apologized. What do you think? They feel that you expressed yourself. Yes, like, so this is a sellout. You should insist on what you said and move on. So what would you say you have learned? And what would you like Nigerians, you know, we have the younger ones, those who have been influenced by people like you. Is there something different now that you're saying to them in the way that they should express themselves? Because maybe someday you may want to step in some of these shoes and make a difference.
The thing is, there are different perspectives when it comes to these issues. There are people that no matter what you do, they hate the person of the president, they hate the people in government, so they are going to always take a particular stand. Then there's another group of people, no matter what the president does, however bad it is, no matter what the government does, however bad it is, they're going to stay on the side of the president. The people I care about are the people that ask you, what are the issues? Who are the people? What are the nitty-gritties, the crux of the matter? And they make their judgments and they take their decisions based on that. Those are the people that I trust. And I think that those people will be happy that Bosun apologized, because at the end of the day, it's not about his ego. Exactly. It's not about the people in the Senate. It's about our country. And I genuinely believe that. And interestingly, nobody has spoken about Bosun's inability to do the job. Yeah. So if we say we want the best people to do the job, we can't afford to care whether they are APC or PDP or Kwakwansiya or Buhari. We can't afford to think whether they're from the north or from the south or from wherever. As long as you're a Nigerian. Personally, I wouldn't even mind bringing a foreigner to solve a problem if I can't find a Nigerian to solve it. We want to solve problems. We want to lift people out of poverty. We want to create prosperity. whatever we need to do, as long as it's not against the law, as long as it's not against ethics and values, we have to do them. Okay. We don't have time for all these small battles and petty stuff.
Tope, let me come to you.
So my question is that we've heard over time that with the way a lot of people have criticized the government, you also inclusive, right? I had to put that out there because you're also very vocal about these things. And sometimes people say that if you can't beat them, join them, or if you want to effect a change, irrespective of the system, you still have to get into it to effect that change. So what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, why are you trying to beat them? Why are you trying to beat them? We need to leave this idea of us versus them.
Yes.
There is only one. It's Nigeria. There is only one interest. It's the collective interest to progress, to thrive as a collective. I understand that there is us and them in the sense of some people are just milking the country, some people are just taking all the resources and they don't have a care for the collective. But you can't afford to think in that small box. If you really care about the collective, then there's no them. And it's not a compromise to grow from a position where your criticism of government is attacking individuals to attacking issues. I used to criticize government primarily by attacking individuals. I speak for myself. I'm talking about me as a person. And I grew into a place where I realized that that's limiting because that person then leaves office. So consistency will be the issues because it's then easy to say, I took this position in 2015. You can still change your mind, but if it's an issue, it's an issue. You can, as you learn as you go along, you can evolve. But if it's an individual, when that person leaves the office, it starts to affect your ability to make judgments and make decisions on those issues. For me, that's what it is.
Okay. So let me come to you.
So we've discussed Bosun. I think that we all sort of like share similar views on yes, is qualified, and his statements could have been said. He could have disagreed without using the language he used and all of that. But let me bring you to, let's talk about the entire ministerial list and how we have a lot of politicians in our ministerial list, and it seems like we still have a lot of old people in our ministerial list. I would like you to do a little checklist of who are the people you're looking forward to, your favorite picks. And the reason for that
there were young people there too. Let's share it. They were young, they were old, they were politicians, there were also some technocrats, and there were women there. So it's a whole mix.
Yes, I know.
No, it's not highlighting the one that you want to focus on.
Yes, but we had 7 former governors, we had former senators. So I'm just saying that which of them, who would you pick top 3 and why you find them exciting?
Okay, I'm not going to delve into individuals. I'm just going to delve into the perspectives and the range of what they offer as a collective. Is to say, one, I like that there's a lot of expertise on the table. There's health expertise. I'm very interested in tech. The greatest force for change in the world today is technology. And I like that that is well represented there. I like that in the midst of the politicians, and by the way, politics will always play a part in it because politics is a market economy where you have to do things to sell. So even though people will say blah, 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 at the end of the day, you want to win votes, you want to consolidate power. So when a politician, say president or chief of staff and their team and all of those people, when they sit down to meet, there is the side of absolute competence. The best case scenario is to find a politician who combines that. But where they don't find a politician who has that, they might have to then go to somebody that has that, who is not a politician. Then also based on their priorities, they can decide, let's just put this political guy here. It's all right. This place is not really a major priority. And based on their priorities, they can put a supposed political enemy there if that thing is a major priority, right? I wouldn't call Bosun a political enemy, but if what he was coming to do in government was not a priority, I think they wouldn't even have considered him in the first place, right? And that really does matter. And the thing is, a government, one of the greatest mistakes we make in government, whether governors, presidents, local government chairman, and virtually everybody in government, is that they assume that they can do everything. The same way when you wake up in the morning and you decide that you want to do everything, you find out that you can't get most things done. When you start the year, January, and you have a long list of the things to do, you find out that you don't end up doing most of them. But the people that have 5 things to do in the year, get it done.
Yes.
So based on the priorities of the president, I think that he has the right numbers, the right people to get it done. But I also understand that he has also accommodated for politics, and there's nothing I can do about that. He wants to consolidate power, not just for the next election, but even in the sense that there's currently, because we're still in the process, it has not ended. The 2023 election has not ended. It ends when the Supreme Court makes judgment, and also based on the judgment it makes, whether it's one way or the other, right? And so all of those things will feed into his decisions. And let's not get it twisted. The people that did not vote him and did not want him to win, a lot of them will not care who he picks anyway.
Everybody.
They will criticize it. The people that voted him and that can't see that he does any wrong also will not care who he picks. The people that we should care about, again, is people that are looking at the list in a non-biased way. It's almost impossible to look at something in a non-biased way, but in a non-biased way with respect to political affiliation. And when you look at that list, first of all, my own problem with it is that it's too much. In the context of governments, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough resources. So 48 is just unwieldy as far as I'm concerned.
We'll come to that in a minute because I'm going to go on a break because we did hear that the president...
Why did you say that?
The way you answered the question.
So what I was saying was that I will come to that because we know that the president did have plans to decongest some ministries that he felt was too bloated, that they were not really getting any job done. So something like the transportation was breaking into pieces. So we can see why they might be needed for the need for additional ministers. But when we come back, we'll talk more about this. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. We still have JJ Mojua here with us discussing the ministerial appointments. Let me come to you because this president has made a lot of promises to women, young people, to see how we can have a different feel in this administration. One of my worry, and I think I like how you said that you categorize Nigerians in different groups, those who believe, those who don't believe, and those who don't really care or indifferent. But don't you think that Nigerians have a responsibility to also understand? Because I get really worried when people like you, some have followings, and they use that against the entity called Nigeria. You know, it's like we are not together. So not everybody's thinking like Omojua, where we're trying to ask questions, be constructive, and get real answers. Some are just ready to scatter it all. They don't really care. How do we reconcile the use of this social media, responsible use of it for the national development that we require? Because sometimes, how do we bring young people in that bracket? I mean, how do we bring everybody together to have a clear objective? This president is not saying, no, criticize me. He wants to be criticized. But in the criticism, it has to be constructive. And how do we also, sorry, I'm asking too many questions, also ensure that even the leaders, because I think Ngalale said it, that the politicians too, they don't take criticism easy either. They are ready to fight back. So how do we ensure that we're all on the same page as regards the future of this country?
I'll answer that question by giving a story that just happened on my way here. I forgot everything apart from my phone. And I needed to buy a phone. So I was praying that I would get a station where they would be able to accept a transfer, right? When I got to the first station, they said, no transfer, and I didn't have time. I hate to be late. Automatically, I said, I'm going to add 5,000 extra to what I'm going to buy. You make a withdrawal, you take 5,000 for yourself, and you make the payment. He didn't even say anything. He just went straight to the pump. He paid. He came to thank me. Not thank you for coming to buy for muscle, for the 5,000, which I thought was unnecessary because we had a deal. What happened? It's called judgment and decision making. His institution has told him no transfers, but I needed to alter his judgment by playing to his personal interest. It was a very quick, fast negotiation. And immediately, I was happy to part away with the 5,000 naira. He was happy to go make the withdrawal and give his decision because they want their cash, right, and put the cash in there. I give that example because when it comes to Nigeria, we have not established a situation where the people have trust in the system. For good reason. If you get arrested today, a part of it, there was a time I was at a conference and I asked people, if you were going to commit murder, like there's a murder in your future, what country would you like that this thing happens? I gave examples of, developed countries, UK, US, Nigeria. All of them chose Nigeria. Again, judgment and decision making. They were very smart to choose Nigeria because in their head, you could get away with murder. Not necessarily murder, like based on the way our institutions have, based on the way things have happened. And this is not about what government has said or what a president or a government has said. It's about what we have done through the years. So there's low trust, almost zero trust in the system. And that has affected the legitimacy of the system. So there are a lot of ungoverned spaces. And that's what has resulted in the kind of anger that you see. That's what has resulted in the banditry that you see, in different vices and crimes that you see. What must then happen to get, not everyone, because no matter what you do, there are just some people that are decidedly criminal, decidedly I no go agree. There's nothing you can, but to get the majority, a vast majority of people on the side of the system, on the side of Nigeria, we must build trust. And what's trust? So that if you build a system where you work hard, you will get good pay. If you build a system where you do not commit any crime, nobody is going to put you in jail. If you build a system where you have a laptop in your hand and you're walking on the street, no police officer is coming to arrest you. I turned from being a regular citizen to ordering a DPO around, to ordering an ASP around, because they reversed the authority. They were the ones now playing criminality on the people. So I became the police. So there was a change of power and authority just by the design of the actions. So Nigeria as a country has to commit to building a system that the people trust. And this must go from just speaking about it to actually doing it, because a crowd of people is like children. A population is like children. They don't care what you say. They care what you do. And what you do is what will affect their judgments and decision-making. And ultimately, it goes back to that thing that I said, right? Once people find that their interest aligns with a progressive Nigeria, rather than a Nigeria where they can get an opportunity to make a quick buck for themselves, all of us will play along with lifting it up as a collective.
I like the very spot-on example that you gave. But one thing I worry about is system failure, which I was able to highlight from that. But my question is, why does the average human take advantage of system failure? I ask that because we know that our country has some lapses in that area. And looking at the nominee, Bosun Tijani, now, my question is going to help block all those using tech?
It's not him.
I mean, the system, yes, I get why he's championing it. Now, my question is, how is it that the average Nigerian would know that this kind of thing is coming into place and still want to go with him?
First of all, to what you said about why do people want to take advantage, it's human nature.
Yes.
It's human nature to want to take advantage. That's why when somebody in a country that doesn't punish crime goes to a country that punishes crime, they adjust their behavior. It's still the same person, but they just change. It's called judgment and decision-making. It's the prisoner's dilemma, where you know that in this system, the system can protect you if you do the right thing. And in this system, no matter what you do, if you do the wrong thing, you still be able to get away with it. That matters. On the other one that you mentioned, I'll give you again an example. I lost 2 of my SIM cards in Egypt. One a Nigerian SIM card, the other one a UK SIM card. The UK SIM card, I made a call from Abuja, and they sent the SIM card to me.
From the UK?
Yeah, not to Nigeria, to my UK address.
Yeah.
The Nigerian SIM card, I spent... So after 2 months of getting my UK SIM card was when I finally summoned the courage to now go for it, which was to then call somebody in the...
Connection.
In the telecom company to say, look, I'm going to this place. I'm going to this place. I need help to get my SIM card because, look, I don't like to wait, right? And he says, JJ, don't worry, just go there, meet this person. Fortunately, the person I met turned out to be a King's College old boy, so it was very smooth, easy. So I told him, I said, why did I have to come here to do this? Why can't I call? And he starts to talk about NIN and all of that. So I said, okay, so again, it's not your fault then. This is what it is. The reason why I made that point is that when you build a system, things happen by themselves, automatically. Again, there was a time we had to queue to pay to do anything with respect to the bank. I travel a lot, right? And every time I went to the bank was mainly to go and get my statement, my bank statement. I stopped going to the bank at a certain point, but then I used to go because of my bank statement. Now I don't go to the bank at all. Why? Because in 1 minute, I'll print it out, signed, everything. That's what has to happen. And when that happens, nobody will tell you this is better. Is it because of the incentive to want to do things faster, to want to do things better, to want to do things quicker, to want to do things in a way that doesn't stress you. You pick technology.
Do you think Nigeria is ready?
All right, let me take this call.
Of course we are.
Victor, thanks for calling. Are you there?
Yeah.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm the first caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to ask JJ something about what's on the ground. Like, The issue of Bosun, I'm kind of not too happy about what happened, because I think Nigerians deserve better. I know he's qualified. I know he wants being there, but I think for him to kind of derogate Nigeria, to talk ill about Nigeria, if he tries that in a Senate plan, I don't think he will have the opportunity like what we do here. And I think it's all about forgiveness in Nigeria. So we should really look deep into things like that. And I would like to ask JJ that question too, that when he has the opportunity, why don't he attack Nigeria? Why is he talking to individual or talk to the office that has to be held responsible? So I think in anything that we do, that will serve as an example for everyone in Nigeria and the youth of Nigeria, that we should learn where to attack, who to talk to, and who not to talk to. When you talk about your country, Nigeria is too big for you to just wake up in the morning because you are angry. I've been in abroad, I've been in so many places, but I can never one day for once abuse my country or abuse my nation because of anger. We should need to control our anger, no matter what.
All right. Thank you very much, Victor.
Thank you for your opinion.
I agree with him 100%. We have to draw the line. This is our country after all said and done. One interesting thing that these countries do when you're doing all this visa, whatever, even when you have a different passport, I have one, but even when you have a different passport, they ask you, what was your initial passport? They always take you back to Nigeria, whether in terms of these questions or in terms of even your daily living in whatever country. Right, so it's our only country. But look, there's context for everything. Right. And I believe in the benefit of the doubt. I think that it's very important that we give ourselves grace and not be so absolute when we judge one another. Because at the end of the day, look at yourself. It could have been you, really.
All right, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.